So, welcome everyone. We're here in my bi-weekly or twice a week chats. We go live on Mondays and Thursdays at about 10 a.m. Pacific time. And today we're going to talk about the 10,000 Headshot Project with Tony Taafe. So, Tony, why don't you give an introduction to yourself here?
Thanks, John. Yeah, so I'm Tony Taafe. Good job on getting the pronunciation of the name
Thanks.
right. So I'm a headshot photographer. I'm based between Scottsdale, Arizona and Los Angeles. And we're going to do this crazy 10,000 headshots initiative in a little over 3 weeks.
What's the date for it?
July 22nd.
So it's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday, yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. How did you come up with this?
Oh man, yeah, it was one of those quarantine kind of driving myself crazy. Everybody, we got put into quarantine, and I spent the first 2 weeks thinking, okay, how am I gonna come out of this better than I went in?
Well,
Like how
yeah, that's how these conversations started. I was bored
that's
one day and started calling
yeah,
friends and saying, "Hey, come talk to me."
right, yeah. Boredom is productive, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was more. I was hitting my head against the brick wall with what I was going to do with my own studio. And so I kind of just did a 180 on what I was thinking and tried to figure out how we can help. As headshot photographers, we're constantly telling people that they need a good headshot for their LinkedIn profile to, improve the job prospects and all that kind of stuff. And when there's millions and millions of people out of work because of this virus, then I figured we could do something to help, and thankfully everybody agreed with me because I wouldn't have got very far on my own.
Yeah, so for everyone in the room, the way the conversations work here, you're all welcome to unmute and join in and ask questions, make comments on them, or you can type things in the chat. Um, so, Tony, a little bit about your background. You're in Arizona today. You're sometimes in LA, but your accent gives it away a different origin.
Yeah, yeah. So I was born and I grew up in Liverpool in England, and I moved around a little bit. I was in Liverpool like for pretty much my whole childhood. Then I moved to Spain when I was 18. Came back to Liverpool for a little bit. Went to London for a couple of years, and then moved to LA in 2011.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah,
So, headshots is your main thing. Do you shoot other things too, or?
not anymore. No, so when I first moved over, I was a photojournalist. I did that nonstop for like 6 years, something like that, and did a ton of traveling. We did like 46 states in the
Hmm.
first 4 years I was here. It was amazing. While it was good, and then I got a bit burnt out from all the traveling. And yeah, and so I met Peter Hurley, and I'm
Hmm.
sure you guys know who he is.
Shebang.
And yeah, shebang, exactly. Yeah. I think you'll get a Google alert right now because somebody said shebang somewhere. But yeah, it's I met Peter, and I fell in love with headshots, and yeah, that's all I do now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, how many photographers do you have lined up to be working on this project?
My God. So we had, I think I looked at the list last week. We had 360 something on the list of volunteers, 360 names.
Hmm.
I think right now confirmed, I think we've got two. I actually spoke about this morning, so I should know the exact number. I think it's 260 something right now
Hmm.
in the US. And then we've got people outside the US as well, Europe, Mexico. There's people outside the US who want to get involved as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot. I'm really thankful for all those people as well, because as I said earlier, this is a great idea, but I definitely
Can't do
wouldn't have
it
got very
yourself.
far on my own.
Yeah.
So
So
really
you have
grateful. Yeah,
you have sponsors helping out with it?
we do. Yeah. Luckily enough, Canon jumped straight on board with it.
Nice.
Peter's an
Hmm.
explorer of light, so he's got the existing relationship there. Brookfield Properties, which is a huge property builder, developer, I don't know, property owner, I guess.
Hmm.
They're like an 80 something billion-dollar company. These guys are gigantic, and they are providing 165 of their locations around the US
Wow.
for us to, safely do pop-up studios and make sure that, social distancing and all of that kind of stuff can be taken care of. So those guys are on board. Tether Tools jumped on Spot My Photos. I don't know whether you guys know much about Spot My Photos, but they're awesome. What we're going to be using their technology for delivery of the images. So, it's going to be a contactless session, I guess you could call it. As soon as we take the shots, they're going to be sent right to the person's cell phone. And Ryan, who's the CEO of Spot My Photos, he's been on board since day one, and been part of the organizational team. So, yeah, we've been really lucky. We've had a Synergy. Synergy's a PR company who work closely with Canon. They work with WPPI. Scott and Lou over there have been awesome. They've helped us out a lot. Who else? Photo Flash Drive, which is a photographer marketing company. They sell, these like water bottles and things like that with the branding on. Those guys are awesome. Honestly, it's ridiculous how many people have just jumped on board with the idea.
Yeah, so there's a few people that have come late into the call today. So can we just describe what it is again, the 10,000 Headshot Project?
Yeah. So what we're doing is on July 22nd, we're going to photograph 10,000 people for free, give them free headshots. These people are going to be unemployed people who lost their jobs due to the virus or the effects of it. It's going to happen across all 50 states. There's going to be close to 300 photographers involved, I think, by the end of it. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
So do you need photo assistants too and other people to help things through? And
we need everyone and everything and everyone. So 300 photographers. Obviously, there's going to be people showing up to getting the photo taken. We do have a lot of volunteers who are not going to be photographing, but if anybody wants to jump on board to volunteer or even photograph, because we're still looking to add a couple more, then
sure. Is there a website for them?
So Peter generated a spreadsheet. I'm going to have to figure out where people can access it. So if somebody shoots me in, if somebody goes to my Instagram and just follows my Instagram and shoots me a message in there, Tony Taafe.
What is your Instagram? I'll put it into the chat.
Yeah, it's Tony Taafe, TonyTaafe. Jump on there and shoot me a message on there, and I'll make sure that you've got access to the spreadsheet.
Great.
I don't know. Otherwise, I don't. It's not on a website or anything. And it's in the Headshot crew. If anybody's on the crew, they can go in there and find it as well. Yeah.
Hey, Tony, I have a question for you. Earlier on, you said that you sort of fell in love with doing headshots when you started doing it. I'm just curious, like, what was it about the experience that, kind of got you so excited about doing headshots?
So I, initially, honestly, it was a lot to do with Peter and seeing his work. Just his work left a big impression on me. I didn't think I would be capable of shooting things with that kind of light, and I didn't know what it was at that time. It was the expressions that really, tipped the scale for me. But it was just learning how to produce work of that quality, and then as I went on, it became building, having that rapport with somebody, because when you're shooting somebody's headshot, they come in, they're terrified. It doesn't matter who they are. Everyone's terrified. It's not a comfortable experience for most people, and having the ability to make people feel comfortable and doing that through building a connection with them, building a relationship with them, even if it only lasts for 30 minutes. It's really cool. It's nice to be able to make people feel good about themselves.
Yeah, do you have suggestions for people needing headshots and how to prepare for your headshot as a client?
Do I have suggestions?
Especially coming into this, what are you telling people that are going to show up for this event?
Yeah, I mean it's for 10,000 headshots, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be a ton of preparation emails and stuff that goes out for that because obviously with this, we're organizing an event of 10,000 plus people in the middle of a pandemic, which on the face of it is ridiculous. Um, but when you look at it as it's being broken down into 50 people per photographer, and every single person who's going to be photographed is going to have an appointment time when they show up. So it's appointment only. It's not we're going to be
Hmm.
here on July 22nd, show up and get a headshot. Everybody who's going to be there is going to be registering before, getting their appointment time before. And I'd expect them to have, a million emails from us letting them know, hey, you can't show up late for this appointment. If you show up late, you're going to miss it because we have to, respect safety. And your time is 9 a.m. Be there at 9. Be there at 8:58. So the biggest part of the preparation is just making sure we keep the photographers safe, keep the people who are being photographed safe, respect the
Hmm.
Brookfield Properties who are providing these locations for us. So there's going to be a ton of preparation for that, and then there's going to be what to wear, hair and makeup, the usual stuff.
Sure.
They're going to be well prepared as long as they check all their emails.
How are you getting the word out to the people that need the photos, as opposed to the photographers?
Right, so that's going to be done through media. As I said earlier, Lou and Scott from Synergy, they've just been amazing. I can't express how grateful I am for what they've done for us in terms of putting press release together, sending things out to, mass media on the business wire and all that kind of stuff. And we've been picked up by a few cool places so far, and we're having ongoing conversations about how to get this out into the media, just to make people aware of that it's happening. I think filling 10,000 spots is not going to be difficult as
Hmm.
long as people know about it. So yeah,
Are you
it's going to be
using
a media
things like,
strategy.
are you using social media, Facebook, LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's part of the strategy. We're really, as well as that, going for like national media and things like that. We were featured in Yahoo. It was Yahoo Finance or Yahoo Business a couple of days
Hmm.
ago. A lot of different places have written about it so far, and the registration's not open yet, and we've got a ton of people who've pre-registered for it already.
Hmm.
So yeah, as I say, we will be able to fill the 10,000 slots just as
Yeah, I
long
would
as
imagine
enough
that'd be
people
pretty
know about
easy.
it. Yeah, it's 10,000 is a huge number, but when you think it's spread across 50 states, and then it's spread across, it's going to be 200 plus locations by the end of it. Individually, it's not a huge number.
Hmm. And again, for those just joining in, feel free to unmute and join in and ask questions here, be part of the conversation. Have anyone in the room now already signed up to be part of this?
Yep.
Is that
Oh
Claudia?
yeah,
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Kevin.
yeah. There's a few of our photographers in here. I think I can't see a list of names or anything, but I think there's a few of our photographers in here. And so this 10,000 headshots project, it's being done through Headshot Booker, which is a agency essentially for headshot photographers, where we're going to be based all across the country. Headshot Booker was co-founded by myself, Peter Hurley, Lauren Lieberman. She's a photographer in Florida, and Joe Pelosi, which some of you may or may not know, but he's a website developer. He builds things like the Headshot Crew and F-Stoppers and a few other things. So it's being put on by our agency. It's called Headshot Booker.
Hmm. Yeah, Cameron just put a link to Headshot Booker in the chat.
Cool. Yeah, Headshot. So that link, I would imagine, will take people to there'll be more information on there about 10,000 headshots, but then there'll be a space to leave your email for anybody who wants to get the free headshot, for anybody who's unemployed.
And are you doing any sort of verification on their employment, or is it just a trust thing?
Yeah, it's just a trust thing. We do
That's
ask
good.
questions as we go through, but I have no idea how we'd even verify 10,000 people were unemployed. It's it's obviously a good faith thing. I'm very confident that out of 10,000 people, there's I'm not worried about it being taken over by people who can afford to buy
Sure.
headshots from us. We're all out of all of the photographers who are involved, myself included. We're all business owners aside from the project. So we don't want to be cannibalizing our own market. I've got
Hmm.
no intention of photographing 50 people in LA who would have otherwise paid me $600-700 for a headshot.
Right.
But they're not the people we're going to be photographing. This is going to be people who need
Hmm.
to have confidence as they go back into the job market.
Yeah. And do you have photographers in all 50 states set up already?
We do. Peter's working like a madman on finalizing the photographer list. There's a couple of states where bizarrely there's not many headshot photographers at all, and Peter's working on finalizing that. But
So
yeah,
what are those
we'll
states
have
where
that.
some people can move to?
Right. I know North and South Dakota off the top of my head.
Huh.
There might be, I think there's Mississippi as well, I think. But yeah, off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but I definitely know North and South Dakota. We don't
Yeah.
have anybody yet.
Now I know
Anybody
this.
who's in either of those places, give
Yeah.
me a shout.
I know this started as a U.S. thing, but you say now there's some folks in Europe too, in Mexico that are joining in. Are
Yeah.
are you covering them in your materials too, or are they doing it on their own?
So they're doing it. They're doing it as part of the same initiative, but it's
Hmm.
going to be slightly more independent, just because we don't, in terms of the media and getting people on
Sure.
board in those kind of countries, like Germany and Holland, for example, are a couple of the countries. I don't even speak those languages, so I
Hmm.
wouldn't. We the photographers are thankfully taking it upon themselves to get people in their markets involved, and in terms of what it benefits for each photographer as well, we're doing all we can to make sure they get as much local media coverage as possible on this.
Hmm.
And I know from my own experience with my studio, local media coverage is gold when it comes to attracting clients across the board, raising that profile.
Yeah.
And so I know that the photographers in Europe are kind of taking it on themselves with as much support as we can give to organize that.
Great. Again, people joining in, feel free to ask questions either in the chat or unmute and say something to us. This is for all of us here. So how did you end up in Scottsdale, Arizona?
Oh, gosh, that's a long story, John. Um, so I'd moved to, as I say, moved to LA 2011. I'd been there for about 6, 7 years before I came here. I've only been in Scottsdale the last couple of years, and Scottsdale's it's a cool place. It's really different from anywhere I've ever lived before. I've always lived in cities and in busy places, and this is not really. It's not a big city. It's not a busy place, even though it's close to Phoenix, obviously. Um, and so now I kind of get over to LA quite a bit.
Hmm.
It's a cool place, but it's not a place where I could spend all of my time. It's a bit too quiet.
And warm.
It's way too warm, yeah, yeah. But luckily enough, my studio is freezing cold, and I spend 12 hours a day in here, so I'm
Sure, it
good.
was interesting. I was in Arizona for the Portrait Masters last September, and it was like 108, and the tarmac I measured at 127 with the thermometer. And I
Yeah,
had a friend who was originally from New Jersey who was there, who kept going outside because it was too cold. He was too cold. He lives in Arizona, and the 65, 70 degrees in the conference rooms was too cold for him.
really.
So he lost that
Yeah,
New
the
Jersey bit right away.
yeah, exactly. I'm the same when I go back to England. If it's like below 80, I turn into a wimp. Start telling everyone it's freezing cold and it's the hottest day of the year over there.
I could see that. So
Yeah, but
before, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say in the summer it's the heat's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we started, we were just talking a little bit about equipment. You're using the EOS R system now with the 70 to 200 and the adapter. Are you all mirrorless now, or are you still shooting with other cameras?
I've still got the what is it? I still got the 5D Mark. I think it's the 5D Mark 4.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm 90% of the time I'm with the EOS R. It's just easy, you know. I
Yeah.
actually I bought it maybe 12 months ago now, not long after it came out, partly because Peter was using it and he was telling me how good it is. And then they've obviously now got the R5.
The I, yeah, the
That's
R5s are being
R5.
announced next week. Yeah,
Yeah,
Canon
so that
just announced.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I
So
got
yeah,
mine
we'll
last
see.
June, so about 12 months too. And at first, I wasn't sure how I was going to use it. I thought it'd be my
Yeah,
backup camera. And
yeah,
within about a month or two, it became my primary camera. And
yeah.
now my fives and sixes are sitting out here being my webcams.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
for me,
yeah,
what I've really enjoyed with the iFocus and the big viewfinder on the back is now can stand next to the camera as if I was working with my old 4x5 or so and actually converse with my subject and interact with them more and not have to be, with my face against the back of the camera and they can hardly
right.
hear me talking. So that's been a changer for me because I'm always on a tripod.
Same. Yeah, same here. It's just easy. You know, when I bought it, I bought it just because we were going on a trip to Mexico City, and I was, you've got the choice of your phone or, some kind of point and shoot, right? So I thought I'll buy it and take it to Mexico City and just see what it's like. And I enjoyed it there. Got back here, put it on in a drawer for 2 weeks, and then I started using it for the headshots, and I've not stopped.
Hmm.
It's a really cool camera, and it's relatively cheap. It just makes things easy, like you say, with the eye focus and things like that. And
Yeah.
I use the 70 to 200 on it now, but for quite a while I was doing the 24 to 70 to 28.
Hmm.
But since all this virus stuff, I've put the
The
longer
longer
lens back
lens.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I tend to always work with a longer lens anyway. The 100 to 135 is my range for people photos, but we're all
yeah,
different.
yeah. It just gives it a different
See,
feel,
Gerardo
right?
in Mexico said he just got his R. So if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask us, Gerardo.
Yeah, it's cool, Gerardo. I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
So, if I can ask a
Yeah.
question about the project. So, what sort of crew are you going to have when someone comes in? I mean, are you going to have makeup and the usual stuff, or?
Yeah. No, we're not going to do that. It's really going to be, the sessions. We're allocating 10 minutes for the sessions.
Okay.
Just with the sheer volume of people,
Yeah.
and respecting the photographer's time on the day as well. I think they're going to be doing 9-hour days, and we don't want to extend that by, bringing other elements into it. And then, obviously with social distancing, right? You can't do
Yeah.
that stuff. And when we do have these spaces from the Brookfield properties, we want 2 or 3 people in these space the large spaces, but
Mhm.
we don't want really more than 2 or 3 people in there at the same time.
Yeah.
We just don't even want to consider, are we getting a little bit too close to each other right now?
Mhm.
We're bringing along floor decals, like what you see when you go into places now and stand here.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, we just don't want to introduce too many elements that we can't control. And safety is the first and last priority with this. It's everything. So yeah, we're going to keep things like that out of it
Yeah.
for now.
And-
But listen, I want to make this into an annual thing. I want to help 10,000 unemployed people next year as well. So
mhm.
hopefully we'll all be able to get a little bit more close.
Yeah, and my
That's
experience doing some larger things like this is the makeup doesn't always work because even if they do have someone touching up, they don't know the person, and
Yeah,
almost every one that's been rejected has been someone who's had their makeup done. Let
yeah,
people do their own makeup so they look like themselves.
Right, yeah, and feel like themselves, right? Because if you're getting touch-ups from a makeup artist, it's not the same as if because the makeup artist can't have different shades of foundation for every single person who
Hmm.
steps in front of them if they've only got 5 minutes to take care of it. So it's a compromise on so many levels that we'll leave that out for this year at least.
So there's a
But yeah,
question. There's a
go ahead.
question in the chat about like the property management company has places in the cities like Denver, but not Colorado Springs. Do you have other places that are going to be used, or is it just their properties?
It's it's mostly their properties, but there's going to be for example, my friend John Glover. I don't know whether you guys know him. He's a awesome photographer down in Costa Mesa. There's no Brookfield properties in Costa Mesa or anywhere near there, but I know he's got a big studio
Hmm.
that will tick all of the boxes. We don't have to worry about it. John's going to be shooting in his studio, so you know, in Denver, like you say, I mean, there's so many locations. I don't know where they do and where they don't off the
Hmm.
top of my head. But, Colorado will probably be taken care of by Denver, I would imagine. There's one or two photographers in Colorado Springs that I can think of off the top of my head. Um, we'd have to have a conversation with them about the
Yeah,
studio and
Pam's in
whether they can
Colorado
take care of
Springs.
it. Yeah, so
Raising her hands there.
yeah, I can't see. The laptop's too far away from me. I can't see anything. But yeah, it's in those situations. It'll be a conversation with the photographer. If the studio can handle it, great. But we want it to be able to handle it plus more on top of that. We just don't want to compromise on safety in
Hmm.
any way whatsoever.
Yeah, Jim, did you have something else you were going to ask?
No, just to say that I'm glad that I think this is awesome that you're doing this. I know whenever I hear about photographers just making it a little better with our skills, I'm impressed. And I'm glad you're paying this much attention to safety. Because that's my big worry is that we've got all these people showing up, we've got all these photographers showing up,
Yeah.
and that I've assisted John with stuff, and John is a really good people person, and this is going to be hard because we need that distance.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's not your normal shoot. I mean, I know when I shoot a lot of on location jobs for large companies, so shooting 50 people in a day, it's still a lot of people, but when you've done it a lot and then you've done, multiples of that in a day, it's not, you know what to expect, and you know that once you're in the flow of things, it's not that bad. Adding the element of you can't really build a physical rapport with them.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I like to do a lot of things like mirroring people when I'm photographing them. It's little things like that, and it works. It helps. It's going to be more difficult to do, but that's okay. The aim here is to get these people a headshot, a good solid headshot, and give them a really good experience, make them
Hmm.
feel good about going back into the workplace and not worry. Because now, if you don't have a headshot on LinkedIn and you're looking for a job, then you're 2 years behind everyone else, and there's still a lot of people who don't have a headshot on LinkedIn, or they've got a selfie, or they've got one of those photos that people have cropped out when they were at their mate's wedding,
Mhm.
something like that. So if we can help those people who are unemployed, then we'll be doing our bit, and we'll also, through this media campaign that we're doing, we'll also be bringing to the attention for the rest of the country that headshots are important, and they do make a difference, and that's why we're going to these lengths to give them away for free, because you should be paying for one. You
Well,
need one if you don't have one.
and it's a way for our industry to recognize how many people are out of work, how many people are, looking at rent payments and no job, looking
Yeah.
at grocery and no job. Um, this is just all good. As I said, I'm very impressed. I think this is fantastic.
Thanks, man. I'm glad. I'm glad. Maybe you'll be on board for next year's.
Yeah, Jim and I have worked some big ones before. We've done the Help Portrait over the years. I remember the second year of
Oh,
Help
right.
Portrait.
Yeah.
Second
Is
year of
that
Help Portrait. That was that? Did you
sorry,
ever?
go on.
No, it's the second year of Help Portrait. I did 65 families in one day. And that
In
was
one
so,
day?
yeah.
Oh, God. That's crazy. Yeah.
That was, but it's fun. I really enjoyed working on those projects.
I
And
bet
there
you
was
Kelly,
slept well that night.
one year, John, you did like 3 or 4 different Help Portrait events. I mean, I'd done
well,
2. I
on
thought,
different
yay,
days. Yeah, on different days, but
different days.
yeah.
But I thought I'd done 2. I thought, go me. And like they're like, well, yeah, I did these and the VA and I. So John, you're
Yeah.
impressive.
So,
And anyway,
yeah, Kelly's asking, is there anything we can do to be a part of the project remotely? And Kelly, if you want to clarify that, unmute and talk to us, you're free to.
Hey, everybody. Um, obviously, like all of us, we have concerns about being safe and all that. So I'd like to participate, but it's so hard for me to gauge my comfort level, with Southern California. I'm in Orange County, so I'm not far
Okay.
from Costa Mesa, but
Do you know
our
John
numbers
Kelly?
are, say it again.
Do you know John? John Glover,
What's
who I
John's
mentioned
last name?
earlier? Glover?
I don't know him.
Okay.
So it's hard for me to gauge my comfort level, but I would love to be part of the project. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to participate.
Yeah. I mean, there is. Again, if you can just shoot me a message on Instagram.
Okay, I did
Um,
message you. So
Okay, cool, awesome. I'll chat to you later today because there is ways that people are helping remotely. It just really depends on whether you're about the things that we might need help with. So some people will definitely be able to help remotely. So thanks for asking.
Hey, Tony, another question. You mentioned earlier the technique of mirroring your client. I was wondering if you just describe a little bit more what that is and how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So mirroring it sounds really simple, but you can do mirroring with body language. The way people are standing, matching their demeanor, matching, not in an obvious way. If they scratch their head, you don't scratch your head, and then do all that kind of stuff. But also, as well as the body language, the tone of voice as well. For example, if somebody comes into a headshot session, and they're very nervous and kind of timid. My background is in sales. When I lived in the UK, I sold. I worked for Bentley and Audi. I worked there for 7 years. I did pretty well at it, but during that time, they must have spent tens of thousands of pounds in England on sales courses for us. They'd send us to the headquarters in Germany and all kinds of really cool stuff. Mirroring is a really, really good sales technique, but it's not a sales as in, get them to buy something technique. It's sales as in build a relationship with somebody technique. Match the demeanor. If somebody comes in, they're really timid and you're, really loud, you're just going to alienate them and annoy them and it's not going to go well.
Somehow
So
Peter keeps popping into my mind.
Peter calls it Sherlock Holmesing, I think.
Yeah, Sherlock.
Yeah, it's
Read
similar.
the person.
Right, yeah, but it's really, really important, and most people will do it naturally to some extent. But if you're conscious of doing it, then it's so much more effective. It's incredibly effective. John has just done it with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you were leaning forward, then you lean back and put your hands together, and I'm doing exactly the same thing.
And that wasn't even conscious of mine.
Right, it's subconscious. That's what I'm saying. So most people will do it with, just naturally. It's just a way to, feel comfortable. But if you're doing it and you can, and it's not a take advantage of somebody thing. It's a way to make people feel comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. If you Google a guy called Chris Voss, he talks about it quite a lot. He's a former FBI negotiator, I think. But it's awesome. Like I love all that kind of stuff. So I could talk about that all day.
Become a profiler.
Yeah, it works no matter what you do. And I wrote an article for Pro EDU last week or something. I think it came out, and it's all about the fact that we're all in sales, right? Even if we don't think we are, even if we think we're photographers, if we own our own business and we rely on people buying things from us to keep the doors open, then we're in sales. And to realize that and to be intentional about what we're doing is really, really important for any of us. But yeah, I love all, as I say, I love all that stuff. Let's forget about 10,000 headshots and just talk about this. I'm only joking.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Hang on, something popped on my, there it is. Another program to open on my computer in front of me. So anyone else have questions on this or just about headshots in general? How many of you are headshot photographers or how many want to be?
One question, Tony.
Yeah.
What is this technique, mirroring, that you mentioned that works for sales and for your headshot?
Yeah. So as I said, it's literally what it sounds like. You mirror the person who you're with in terms of body language, very subtly, not obviously.
Okay.
You mirror their body language, their demeanor, their tone of voice. The eye contact is a really important one. For example, if somebody doesn't like making eye contact with you and you're trying to constantly catch their eye, it's weird. And you know, as I say, most of the time we're going to do this naturally. And the opposite is true as well. If somebody makes a lot of eye contact with you and you keep looking away from them because it makes you feel uncomfortable, then it's going to be uncomfortable for them. You kind of have to adjust what you're doing to mirror what your client is doing. But again, if you Google Chris Voss,
How do you spell that last name?
Voss. He's awesome. I mean, it's no one person's technique. It's well known. It's especially from a sales point of view,
yeah,
and a relationship building point of view as well. But I know that Chris Voss has a lot of good information on there. But if you just Google it, you'll find a ton of information.
Yeah, the only time it doesn't work for me is with my wife. If I start mirroring her, she says, "Oh, you're mimicking me."
She
You're
knows
making
you
fun
too
of me
well.
or something.
She knows you
pick
too
up
well.
on it.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, no worries. But yeah, like going into the whole relationship building and taking that into how we can make our businesses more successful, honestly, by knowing that information, it's really, really important. Like the last year, me and Peter made a tutorial called the TNT method, which is essentially my sales method. And we go into that information in there, but it's specific to photographers, right? And there's a lot of good info in there as well. You'll find that on the Headshot Crew.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about starting to do headshots because I think I could do it in the studio and maintain distance and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where do you find your most success in marketing?
So yeah, I mean that's a good question because marketing is, you know, I don't think there's one thing that everybody can do and that means that your marketing's been successful. I think that you try as many different things as you can while not spending too much money and see what works. Like for what I did, I'm really lucky. I don't advertise. I don't, you know, do any paid advertising or anything like that. But what I mentioned earlier about getting local press was huge for me. And I'm lucky as well that my clients, you know, they leave the shoot happy. They, you know, and that's part of the TNT method that I mentioned earlier. It's not just a sales process, a sales method. It's a way to make it really easy for your clients. And you know, my clients, you know, I've got a ton of 5-star reviews on Google Business and all that kind of stuff. That all that I know for me, that's all really, really important. But as I say, I'm also really lucky. You know, I don't have to spend money advertising. And so
I
far,
don't
at
want
least.
to either.
No, me
Yeah,
neither.
for me, it was almost all word of mouth.
Yeah.
And luck. I mean, I had a law firm client last year that sent me 200 people, and they just kind of found me on the web, asked me to come in and shoot a couple, because they had 600 employees and already shot 400 around the country, and they needed someone to finish them up. And half of the ones I got were reshoots because people had so much fun coming to me and really hated their shots
No
from the
way.
previous photographer who was so stern
Yeah.
that the word of mouth within the company just built up my stuff. But
Yeah, and all word of mouth is what it all comes down to, you know, is just how you make people feel, right, John? So like obviously you're a really good people person as well. If people feel good after it's like as headshot photographers especially, the bar is so low for us because people are not expecting to enjoy it even a little bit, you know. So they come in expecting to not have a good experience. So already the bar's low. If we give them an okay experience, it's better than what they expected. And if we give them a really good experience, then they're going to tell everyone about it. So, you know, if we look at things like that, it's all about how we make people feel. That's really all that matters. And if we make people feel good, they'll pay us for it. You know,
Yeah.
I know I spend money every single day that I don't need to spend because it makes me feel good about something. And that's my only, when I'm thinking about how am I going to make money with business, the answer is always, how am I going to make people feel good? It's always the answer.
Yeah, people remember how you made them feel more than what you said to them or anything like that.
Exactly.
And for
But I'm
me,
so grouchy.
what's that?
What's that?
I'm grouchy.
Oh,
I'll have to hire someone to do the PR work.
I don't know about that. So here's a question for you, Tony. Photography, is it a product or a process for you?
It's a product.
Uh-huh.
So I think there's a couple of different types of photographers. There's artists who you know, I respect massively, who will spend a lot of time perfecting details of their work. And then that's not me. I love photography, but photography is a vehicle for me. And my headshots are a product that I will make the best that I possibly can
Great.
in order to not have to work for someone else. You know, in order to have the freedom to work for myself. But I understand it in a very black and white way. If the product's not good, nobody's going to buy it from me. If the experience they have when they're with me isn't good, they're not coming back and they're not telling any of their friends about it. But I'm also not going to spend 2 hours making an image 1% better if
Sure.
I can see it, but my client's not going to know the difference. It's not a productive way for me to spend my time. But there are people who will do that, and I respect them for it because that takes a lot of patience. I don't have it.
Exactly. Exactly. So what about the rest of you out there? Any more questions for either of
How
us?
do you deliver the pictures? Do you deliver them digitally?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
JPEGs. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I don't
haven't
think
done very many, so.
yeah, I haven't had requests for prints in years.
Yeah. I got one last week,
Hmm.
and it was a corporate request, which is weird. They said, do we get prints or do we get digitals? And yeah, I that's probably the first request I've had in a while. Yeah.
So how do you deal with all these social media sites that keep changing their specs? You know, who has a rectangular avatar, who has a round one, who has a square one? I mean, how do you shoot for that? How do you plan that out? Do you need to know that in advance when someone comes into you, or you just leave a lot of room to crop?
Yeah, I mean, it's my style, I suppose, with headshots. I love shooting people straight on because I think if you can get a straight on shot that looks good, it's really, really powerful. Like I do turn people a little bit, and sometimes I go extreme if they've got a really interesting face with the turns and stuff. But for corporate headshots, mostly straight on, and I'll generally center them anyway, so it doesn't really matter
Mhm.
where the image is going. If they're on the center of the frame or round about the center, then
Yeah, because
they're
when
gonna
everyone
fit
started
whatever.
switching to those round crops, it really threw us off for a while.
Right? Yeah, it was a bit strange, but yeah, I mean, it's, you know, if somebody has a request of, you know, I don't know, if somebody has a special request, I'll always take care of it
Mhm.
for them.
Yeah, do you get
But
many
yeah,
requests for black and white?
yeah, sometimes, yeah. I mean, which is fine, right? It's like
Yeah.
it's not the process it was at one point. So every now and again, but I'll generally try and steer them away from that though, because for me they look better in color.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I think we've covered a lot of stuff here.
Awesome.
Is there anything you want to say to everyone? You know, final words or about the
Thanks
project or
for
about yourself?
no, I mean just thanks for hanging out with us. It was cool.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks for not asking me any really difficult questions. I appreciate it.
Is there any, well, last one. Is there any question you wish someone would ask you?
I'd like to chime in if I may.
Oh, sure, Kevin.
There we go. This one.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing a bunch of stuff at the same time.
It's okay.
Tony did some great stuff with sales. He's mentioned the his method of sales, and it's just been phenomenal. So I just wanted to ask Tony if he has a place to refer people to resources for growing in that. I don't know if that's something you want to share, or
for sales, you mean?
for your for how to do sales. It's your special method and stuff.
Yeah. Right. So as I say, the method that the TNT method, it's called. Peter came up with that name because he said we'll call it TNT because my initials TT, but TNT, the tagline was going to be it'll blow up your business, which is, you know, it's a
True.
good one. And yeah, a lot of photographers have had a lot of success from it. You know, the people are earning more money with it. So that's available, as I say, on the Headshot Crew. I don't think it's anywhere else. Yeah, if you want to know more about that, head over to the Headshot Crew.
Yeah.
It's a couple of hours long, so.
As a testimonial, it was phenomenal. got the opportunity to see Tony building that up and making it, and it's just been a huge help to my business and my sales.
Thanks, man.
It was just a lot of psychology went into it. I mean, he brought that in from his training sales background at Audi. Is that right?
Yeah, Audi and Bentley. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually turning it around and having the customer almost drive the sale. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. Give them the opportunity to spend money with you if they want to.
Yep.
That's what it is. I think as photographers, we unintentionally, the way we structure our pricing models and things like that, I think we make it difficult to spend money with us. And it doesn't have to be, you know. It's like if you go into you know, if you go into just let's say a car showroom, right? So if you go into a Bentley showroom, they don't give you 2 options or 3 options like we generally do as photographers. Everything is a la carte, and you can spend $100,000 on a $40,000 car. You know, you can't spend $1,200 on a $400 photography session the way people have it structured right now, but you can if you just structure it a little bit differently, and it works. And the really important thing about it is clients love it because they feel like, you know, you're not limiting them in any way, and that might sound counterintuitive, but it works. It just works, and the clients love it. You're not making people spend more money than they want to. You're just giving them the opportunity to spend more if they want to. And if you make them feel really good about themselves, I promise they want to spend more money with you. They do.
And I got a question from Daniela. Hi, Daniela. Good to see you. She's asking if do you tether, or if we talked about tethering at all? Are you going to be tethering during these sessions?
Yeah, tethering is a must in these sessions, not for the clients, not for the people being photographed, but for the file delivery through Spot My Photo. Everybody's going to be tethering, and I tether. It's I've got all the obviously the Tether Tools equipment. The laptop right now is on the Tether Tools Aero table.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, tethering is really important for me.
And Tether Tools is one of the sponsors of the event, right?
That's right. Yeah, and for the photographers who are taking part, they're doing a 25% discount code for them, which is really cool.
Yeah, and do you use?
I'm just gonna come in. I'm outside right now. Sorry.
That's
So I'm
okay.
wearing my mask and everything. So my question is, I usually tether for a headshot. I only have the cord. Do I need anything else, or is that enough? Because I saw a whole kit that's being sold, that's being, shown on the group.
Yeah, so you need the cord and obviously a laptop to tether into it, and then whatever software you're going to use. I use Capture One.
Yeah, she's using Lightroom.
Exactly.
Okay, Lightroom. Yeah, I would consider taking a look at Capture One as well. It's really easy. Lightroom's great too, but Capture One's quicker, and that's why I use it. It's really fast. So, but yeah, you don't need anything else other than the software, the cable, and obviously a laptop.
What camera are you using, Daniela?
I have the 5D Mark IV.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty easy to tether with Lightroom.
Really easy.
Yes, and I use the 105, the 24 to 105, lens.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you have everything you need.
Okay, all right, perfect. Thank you. I'm excited. This is great.
Yeah, if it doesn't work for you, you can always email me, ask me questions about it. I can go over that with you.
All right, thank you, John.
Sure, sure. Okay, anyone else? Going once.
Can you tell us a little bit about your typical setup?
In terms of equipment?
Lighting?
Yeah, lighting, yeah.
So I shoot with the Flex kit, Peter, the one that Peter designed with Westcott.
That's flat panel LEDs.
Flat panel LEDs, yeah. I think there's a few different versions, but the Westcott one is, from what I've used, head and shoulders above anything else I've seen. And then, the EOS R right now, 70 to 200. Pro Photo Strobes if I'm using Strobes. And I just put the body on a Faisal tripod with the Arca Swiss ball head, which is really good. And then I tether into a 27-inch iMac when I'm in the studio, or the MacBook Pro when I'm on location. Yeah.
So what would make you go to Strobes over the panels for a headshot, or do you not do for headshots with Strobes?
I don't know. I used to do them with the Pro Photos and the 1x3s.
Sure.
And it worked great. It worked great, but I don't know. There's the quality of light. Not that the quality of light in Pro Photos not superior, obviously, but it's different. Yeah, and the quality of light with this Flex kit is, for headshots especially, is just. I love it. It's great. And then you can obviously use it for. I've got for any video and stuff like that.
Sure.
That
And
as well.
Kelly's asking if you have preferred backdrops for your headshots.
I always shoot on a solid background, so I just use Savage Seamless. 90% of my headshots are just on a grey. I think it's the fashion grey.
Yep.
Seamless from Savage.
Yeah, and I was just thinking back to before about making people comfortable. Another thing is to get your own photo done, even if it's self-portraits. I'm one of those strange photographers who's happy on either side of the camera. I'm always jumping in when I see a camera come out. I want to be in it because I know so many other photographers try to hide from the camera.
Yeah,
I think it really helps to get on the other side of the camera once in a while.
Yeah, it does. It kind of helps you understand. Like Peter's taken my headshot 1,000,000 times, and so have other photographers as well, and it helps you understand how awkward it is in front of the camera. It can be awkward, so yeah, that's a good idea.
And yes, the information about this project is public now. It's been going out into news releases, so we can start telling people about this. And is there a place to point people to for the?
Sorry, John.
Yeah.
Even telling them that we are part of it, because it's one thing to tell them the project is happening. It's another thing to say, who are the photographers? Can we start telling people we're part of this project?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And all photographers, I mentioned Synergy earlier. All photographers, Lou and Scott over there, are going to be.
You there? No, we just lost your microphone. Batteries.
You guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
My AirPod died.
That's okay. We can hear you.
So yeah, the all photographers who are taking part are going to be given a media kit by Synergy, which they're putting together. And I saw it the other day, and this stuff is, I don't even think you could buy it. It's amazing. I know how valuable local media has been for my business. This is just going to make it really easy and streamlined for photographers to contact and build relationships with their local media. So yeah, I in terms of contacting local media, Daniela, I would hang off until you get that kit, because it's really, really good, and it's the proper way to do it.
Yes, of course.
Where are you, Daniela?
I'm in Brooklyn, and actually my
yeah.
brother-in-law, as soon as I told him he put it on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh my God, was I supposed to be?
I was born in Brooklyn, but I moved out when I was 3 months old.
You need to come back and visit.
Yes, definitely. So last question, is there a place to point people to that are interested in taking part in the project as a subject?
Yeah, go to the headshot, go to headshotbooker.com. The registration's not open yet, but there's a place to leave your email, and you'll be notified when the registration is going to open.
Perfect. Okay, we're at the top of the hour here, so we're going to start winding this down. Thank you, Tony, for joining us here. It's Tony Taafe. And everyone else that's been in here and asking questions, we really appreciate it. Thanks for coming back. Let's see, what do I have coming up? I've got Judy Host coming on Monday and the importance of doing personal projects. And I'm going to have Lee Varus at the end of the month, Benjamin Von Wong coming up on the 13th. And if you go to cornicello.com/photo-QA, you can see our full schedule there. And I think that's it for today. So I'm going to stop the Facebook feed first. Okay, but actually it's still recording. That was a lie. And someone's just coming into the room now. Robert, we'll let him in and tell him that we're ending. Hello, Robert. You're just in time for the end of the meeting. Oh, wait, there's someone else coming in too. We're going to hang out for a couple of more minutes. We've got 2 more people just joined us.
John, you're in Seattle? You're not in
Yes.
Los Angeles, right? Because
No,
I'm in Los Angeles. We've talked about Los Angeles a couple of times, but you're not.
Yeah, I'm in Seattle. Tony bases his time between Los Angeles and Arizona.
Yeah, I've worked a little bit on the same studio where Tony worked a bit too. In the downtown.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Robert, you just came in. Do you have any questions or anything you want? There'll be a recording of this session. We're just kind of at the end of it now. So anyway, thank you all for coming here, and I'll let everyone know when the recording is available, probably in a couple hours.
Cool. Thanks again, John. Appreciate it.
Be well, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Tony.
Thank